Hey guys, Lance the Woodsman here. Welcome to our first question and answer session at the NFPA, the National Family Preparedness Association. This is going to be really fun. I'm really excited about it. I've been reading a lot of comments from you guys and a lot of questions that are popping up. So get your questions ready and send them to me. And I'm going to be looking here on the screen as stuff pops up. I'll be answering them for all of you guys. So any questions that you have about preparedness-minded themes, if you have specific questions about things, questions about bug-out bags, questions about, moving or bugging out or whatever the case might be, let's hear all your questions. Don't forget, too, a general preparedness mindset. If you guys are somewhat new to this whole preparedness thing, it used to be called survivalism or survivalists back in the 70s and 80s, and that's since become a non-politically correct term. Survivalist or survivalism would be somebody that you could kind of envision. They're the lone man on the mountain, hanging out there on their big mountain of ammunition and food and preparing for the end of the world, but they're not really setting themselves up to thrive or to live a good life. They're just waiting for something horrible to happen. That's gone out of fashion for obvious reasons. It's not really a good long-term plan, and it's not really that enjoyable, and it's kind of hard to sell your family on too. So with the preparedness theme that we have going now, everybody's talking about being a prepper or being preparedness-minded. Preparedness is an even better term. The idea is how to be prepared in your normal everyday life, but at the same time be ready for whatever stuff might happen. I mean, it could be anything. We could be talking about earthquakes, which happen all the time. We got a hurricane going on in Florida right now. That's pretty real stuff. That happens frequently, hurricanes for people. And you need to figure out, okay, how are you going to sleep that night? Where are you going to be at? Where are you going to have water? Where are you going to have food? These are all modern preparedness themes, and this is all stuff that you can still live a normal, happy life, because that's the real main objective. You want to be able to enjoy life, do all the things that you want to do anyways, and yet at the same time be ready. Hey, if something's going on, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay put, or will I bug out? Will I go to some friend's house? Will I go to family member's house? There's all kinds of different scenarios that you really can't be expectant for all the time. You just don't know what's going to happen. Usually when something crazy happens, it sort of blindsides most people. It's like, okay, well, I was prepared for a lot of different things, but I just wasn't prepared for that. So really one of the key things with the whole mindset is just that. Have that sort of mindset where you're already mentally pre-programmed in advance, where whatever is going on, you're going to be able to adjust with it, and you're not going to be one of those people that are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me right now. That seems to be a common theme when people are sort of taken aback by something crazy that just happened.
Yeah, so Lance was trying to get you live still. For some reason, the video is not working.
Image yet?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Well, we can do the question and answers just the same, even without the image, right?
Okay, yeah, we definitely can. Yeah, everybody can
okay,
hear
so
you,
we're good to go. If you guys don't mind listening and not looking, I think this is going to work great. So let's look at some of the questions we have here. Why should one consider more than a 72-hour bug-out kit? That's a great question. So, gosh, I mean, what a broad discussion, bug-out kits and all that sort of stuff. You should have, at the very least, some sort of a basic kit where you can keep it in your car, you can keep it on your person. It's something that, okay, if you work in an office in some urban environment, you might not be able to keep a big knife with you, or you might not be able to keep firearms or certain things with you, obviously. So you keep with you what you can have with you, and you should probably have multiple levels of kit. I mean, why should one have more than a 72-hour bug-out kit? Okay, if you know for certain that you're going to be bugging out and it's going to take you a week to get there, there'd be a pretty good reason. Keep your little mini kits going where you have all your basic stuff and you have that with you all the time. But if you're in a situation where, okay, you're going to be in one place, say in the city where you work, and it's going to be 3 hours to bug out or to hike home, or if it's going to be 10 days to hike home, let's say you have a pretty long drive from home anyways, well, it would be a realistic situation where you would need a longer than a 3-day bug-out kit. If it's going to take you a week to get home, you're going to have other stuff in there. Okay, what do you think you might be bugging out for? If you're living in an area that constantly has hurricanes, well, that would be something to consider. If you're living in a desert area, that would be another thing to consider. Certainly you're going to need some water to get you going. If there's going to be other water along the way, like streams or things like that, then definitely have yourself a little filter. I mean, our little personal water filter that we're giving away on this site on the link here, that's a great filter to have with you anyways. If you're going to be in a situation where you need a lot more water, you may consider something really big, like a big Berkey type filter, and have that waiting for you when you get there, or have that where you are right now in case you need a lot of water. So again, it depends on where you're going. So a 72-hour kit is something that's kind of good to aim for, but certainly you're going to need food too. So if it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 days to get where you're going, you're going to want to have a lot of food with you. So I guess I could talk about this for forever with a lot of specifics in it, but basically multiple kits are a great idea. Another idea too that I often do myself, have a couple of plastic totes, and you can keep them in your house, keep them in your vehicle, and you can keep, if it's wintertime, keep winter clothes in there, and you can have another one that has food in it, and you can have another one that has some general supplies, and then you can really just make yourself a kit ready to go right then and there. So, okay, something happened, that you're going to be out for 2 days, you're going to be out for 5 days, well then grab all the stuff from your totes and throw it in your backpack, and then you've got yourself a bug out bag made on the spot, and you can practice with it too. You can imagine different situations. That's not a bad idea at all. Okay, so let's see, what other questions do we have here? Water bladder. A water bladder, I'm assuming that you're in reference to the type that you wear on your backpack. Those are really popular. The U.S. military uses those. Lots of backpackers use those. You can keep more water. Certainly if you're on the move and you're moving fast, or you're cruising along and you want to be able to drink and not pull out a water bottle, there's a lot to be said for that. I usually don't use those myself. I kind of keep things a little more simplistic and modularized. I'll have just a little separate canteen that I can also use to cook food in, and I'll have a separate water filter that I can just use to drink out of a stream. Also, there's water bladders that will actually fill up your whole bathtub. I'm not sure if you might be referencing one of those too. That's great if you're in a stationary place and you want to be able to store 100 gallons of water. You have this sort of preformed thing like a bathtub or something like that. Then you put a sterile bladder liner in it and you fill it up with water. Here's another question. Why should one keep a bug out kits for staying home and bugging in? That's goes without saying. If you're going to be staying at your house, bugging in, so to say, you don't have any plans on going anywhere, you don't have the ability to go anywhere, wherever you are, that's it, you're stuck there for the duration. That's all the more reason you definitely want to have a kit, and even more so than a kit. Assuming that you don't live in a micro apartment in Japan and you actually have a little bit of space for more stuff, keep more stuff. It doesn't even have to be a little mini bug out kit. You're not going anywhere if you're at home, and if you don't plan on bugging out, you're not going to be carrying in a backpack. So keep more stuff. The more stuff, the better. Just kind of anticipate what sort of emergencies or situations you'll be in. If you're going to need food, if you've got plenty of water, you've got whatever, a stream or some way of water around your house, then you're a little bit better there. But if you don't have any water at all, water's super important. I mean, keep a lot of it. Keep a barrel of it. Keep as much as you can. Let's take a look at some of the other questions here. We got.
Lance, so we have a question from Facebook about
sure.
The best survival and outdoor knife.
Okay, that's a great question. I love that. It's a question I receive a lot. So there's so much information and so much disinformation and so much misinformation. There's a lot of knives out there, and knives are a fun topic because they're actually compact. You can afford one. It's a great thing to have. It's very useful. They're very fun to have, so people really tend to get into knives. I'll make a blanket statement. I'll make it some flack for this. I'll make this statement anyways. I would stay away from anything made in China. I have no doubt that China is going to be awesome someday. I remember as a kid, stuff from Japan was always made fun of, and boy, they make the best stuff in the world. I think they make better knives than the Germans in a lot of respects now, which is a country that always had a great reputation for knives. But right now, I don't see China as there. So that said, that limits a lot of things. It opens up a lot of things too. My personal favorite brand of knife would be Mora, and that's Mora. It's called Mora Knife, and they're from Sweden. They're an old company. They've been around for forever, and they make knives that are pretty typical of the Scandinavian style of knives. And the whole thing about knives and Scandinavian knives are totally a part of the culture. If you're just a Scandinavian, you're just going to be essentially born with the knife. They use it for everything. They take the knives seriously. They like great quality knives. They're not really fancy or frivolous with their knives, not really so much into ornate knives that don't have a functional purpose. They just want stuff that works. So out of all these knives, this one particular brand called Mora Knife, they make a knife for as little as $15. One of their simple little knives, they call it the Companion. There's a lot of different names. They're all good. That's a great knife. That knife will do everything you need it to do. You can even see a lot of really renowned survival experts. Some guys you see on TV, some guys that really know their stuff. They all they have a lot of respect for Mora, and many of them carry Moras as their particular knife. One knife that I'm really fond of, and this is the one that I would recommend, is the Mora Bushcraft Ultimate. This thing sells for about $70-$80, and it has a built-in fire steel, so wherever you are, you can light a fire. You can make sparks and use that to ignite your tinder and get a fire going. It also has a built-in diamond sharpener, and the blade itself is just the right length. It's about 4.25 inches long. It has a sharpened spine on the back for using with your fire starter, your ferrocerium rod. It has a really great belt clip, and they come in a stainless steel and a carbon steel model. Both of them work great. So I would recommend the Bushcraft Ultimate. It's just a really great knife. And when I'm speaking of this knife as being only $70 or $80, let me put it this way. If I had an unlimited budget and I could buy a knife for $300, $400, $500, $600, some sort of really beautiful, awesome, well put together, custom made knife, it would really have to do something better than the Mora. If it doesn't do something better than the Mora, I would just stick with the Mora. It's what I carry in my pack. I also have a little smaller version by them. It's called the Light My Fire, and it's like a tinier, lighter weight version of that big Mora Bushcraft Ultimate. And between those two knives, I'm good to go. I can get by with either one, but I like to have two because in case you lose one, it's always nice to have a second one. I'm going to interject too. We're talking about outdoor survival knives, but it's great to have a pocket knife too. I love Swiss Army knives. I like the Alox, ALOX line. They have an aluminum handle. They're the ones that were actually made for the Swiss military, and it has all kinds of neat, useful gadgets on it, like awls and scrapers and screwdrivers and blades. I've played around with most of the Leatherman and multi-tools out there. I just don't like them. I like to keep stuff in my pocket, and I always found that the Leathermans and stuff like that are kind of bulky. I don't like to have things hanging off the side of my belt. So I like the little Swiss Army knife. I keep one of those things on a paracord, keep it tucked in my pocket, don't even know it's there. Highly recommend that for an extra knife as well. Okay, so let's see what other questions we have. All right. I carry the tactical female 11-inch handmade of British tool steel. That's a great statement there. It's mentioned somebody has a particular knife, the tactical female 11-inch British tool steel knife. If you have a knife that you click with, stick with that one. So myself, I like the feel of the Mora, the Bushcraft. It really feels comfortable in my hand. It does everything I need it to do. There's a lot of people, a lot of really knowledgeable people that have a lot of varied opinions about knives. And if there's a knife that just clicks with you, it feels great in your hand, you can do everything you need to do with it, by all means take that. Again, just watch for the quality. As long as it's of good quality, it's not something that's cheapo made out of Chinese silly putty, you're going to be good. I mean, even the worst knife in the world is still better than no knife at all. I've seen plenty of mechanics make repairs on cars with a really cheapo tool set that they were able to do that because they had the knowledge, whereas somebody that's a novice and doesn't know how to work on cars, they could have the $1 million snap-on tool set and still not be able to fix it. There's an old adage, I heard this from a mentor of mine, and I love it. I think of this all the time. It's the Indian, not the arrow. So ultimately, it's the skill, the attitude you have, the knowledge between your ears, the strength of your heart and your willpower. That's what's going to get you through. And even if you don't have any tools at all, you're going to be better than the guy that has a lot of gadgets but not any skill. That said, I like gadgets. It doesn't hurt to have them around, even if you acquire the gadgets now and don't have the skill yet. Some people might have an issue with that. I don't. I think it's great. More stuff you have, the better, because if you have the plans on getting to know how to use it, it just means you're going to have more options, more tools in your kit, literally and proverbially.
Okay, Lance, we have another question from Facebook. So Art McAllister says, there are many food storage brands out there, but I don't know who to trust. What is the most nutritious, non-GMO, wholesome, all-around best food storage brand out there?
Okay, Art, that's an awesome question. With preparedness-minded themes and merchandise coming up, there's a lot of food out there. I've followed a lot of these brands over the years. There's a lot of new brands popping up. If it's something where you're just going to be bugging out for a day or two, it probably doesn't matter what you eat. I mean, even the loathsome MRE that I don't think has anything in it except for artificial ingredients and flavorings and chemicals, that'll keep you going for a day or two. It's not going to kill you. But when we're talking about food storage, something you want to put away a year's worth of food, that's something where you really want to consider having just the best healthy food, because you're already going to be in a situation where, okay, if you don't have normal food, that's a great word for it. If we don't have grocery store food that comes here on the, call it the 3-day shipment plan, where it's timed, where everything just shows up in 3 days to the grocery store. If that whole system ends and you need to rely on your food that you've put away for the past year, you want to really have some healthy stuff. Your body's going to be under stress anyway, so give it all the benefits you can. One particular brand that I'm fond of, I think is a great brand, is Thrive. They have a lot of, that's just Thrive, Thrive. They have a lot of natural, normal ingredients in there. Whatever you do, whatever you look at, read the back of it. Not all of those number 10 cans of freeze-dried or dehydrated foods are the same. Some of them have so many ingredients, and if you don't know what all the ingredients mean, or you don't want to take the time to read them all, just a real quick, easy way. I do this, myself. I do this in the grocery store. If you're in a hurry, just look. If it looks like there's a big paragraph there, you don't even have to read it all. You just have to think, okay, why does rice and beans have a paragraph of verbiage in it? That doesn't make sense. There should be a couple of words there, rice and beans, maybe salt as well. So at the very least, do that. Buy stuff that has words in it that you can understand, and not huge, enormous words that look like they were taken out of a college chemistry book. So there's a lot of brands out there that are good. Another one that's always been popular for a long time, especially with backpackers, and it usually comes in smaller pouches and smaller containers, is Mountain House. Mountain House actually has some pretty good ingredients, and they make some tasty stuff. The issue I would have with them is it's very salty. I haven't had any of their stuff probably in the past year, but traditionally they use a lot of salt. And if you're a backpacker and you're really sweating and burning the calories and drinking a lot of fluids, it's not that bad to have salt. If you're a young, healthy guy, it's not going to kill you. But if, again, we're not talking about a weekend backpacking trip. If we're talking about what are you going to eat exclusively for the next year, try to get stuff that doesn't have salt in it. Definitely try to get stuff that doesn't have MSG in it. Just try to find normal, natural stuff. Don't stock up on a bunch of MREs. MREs are actually quite bulky and quite heavy. Once you remove the weights of the packaging and all of the extra stuff, the napkins and the Tabasco bottle and coffee or other things that you might not necessarily use, you got like half the weight of your food in packaging. So what's great about them is that they're really convenient and they're waterproof. If you have some, great, throw one in your pack, or maybe chop it open and just take the entree out and eat that. That's actually better than the other stuff, because if you have the crackers in there, it's like, okay, all packaging, a little bit of crackers. If you eat those things for a day or two, a week, that's fine, but don't live on those things. A lot of our military personnel have been living on them off and on in their service to the country, and a lot of military guys, I think are paying some consequence after eating a lot of that stuff, a good portion of their lives for the past 20 years. It's really not that healthy for you long term. Okay, let's check out some of the other questions here. We have a comment. Remember, if you are having to go, weight is an issue. Do not load your bag with heavy items. Find lightweight options. That is a great comment. When you're putting a bug out bag together, putting any sort of a kit together, Think of what I love what Bruce Lee said. I'm going to try to remember it exactly, but I'll paraphrase it a little bit. Simplicity, economy, and efficiency of motion. Trim away the excess. So start out by thinking, okay, I have nothing right now. There's nothing in front of me. There's nothing on the table. What do I need to, say, get by and travel from point A to point B in 3 days? What would I need? Well, I'll need some water. I'll need some food. I know it's going to rain, so I'll need a rain poncho. Think of the stuff that you really need, and then add that stuff to your kit. I'm reminded of a story when I was backpacking through Scandinavia many, many, many years ago, and I left with just an enormous pack. I mean, for me, enormous. This thing must have weighed 50, 60 pounds. If you're a super fit military guy and you're, 20 years old and they got you hauling 140-pound packs and you can jog up the mountain with that, that's awesome. You're in great shape. But, think how much easier it would be if you just put 40 pounds of really useful stuff in there instead of 140 pounds worth of stuff. So anyways, I was traveling with this heavy pack. I quickly ditched it and I reduced that pack down. And ever since then, for the past several decades of my life, I'm trying to trim away the excess, and I've got to pack down to a basic core weight of just about 10 pounds. Then on top of that, I might add another 10, 20 pounds worth of food, or if I have to haul water in, I'll have water with me. These are all things you just need to think of where you're probably going to be, what you're going to be traveling through. Are you going to be traveling through a rainforest or a desert? And then you just have to adjust it specifically for that. We have another question here. Suggestions for small children in tow. I do not have any small children at the moment. That is a great question. Again, think of what you would need for them in your everyday life, just the same as for yourself. What do you need in everyday life? Let's say you're just going to take a trip to Disney World, and what are you going to bring with you? There's a really great place to start. If I'm going to open up to a more broad topic, just using food as an analogy. If you don't like lima beans, don't buy a bunch of number 10 freeze-dried cans of lima beans, because you're not going to want to eat them when things are bad. Just eat the food that you normally like to eat. So same thing, small children in tow. If you're traveling with somebody that might be elderly or somebody that might need special care, same sort of situation. What do they need every day anyways? And for most people, that's going to be water. You can't live very long without water. Get yourself our little personal mini survival filter and keep that on each person. Don't just keep like 10 of them in a bag, but literally take one and stick it in everybody's pocket. That even if that person gets cut off from the rest of the pack, they're going to have that with them. And hopefully if somebody helpful finds them until they can redirect them to their parents or bring them back to you, and they need water, well, they're going to have that with you. Same thing, like a little mini medical kit is a good idea. Speaking of medical kits, a lot of very knowledgeable people will carry a kit that is far more capable than what their personal talent or ability to use that kit would dictate, and they carry that kit on them. And the reason is, if somebody finds them and they're in need and they're not coherent, or they're not capable of utilizing this kit, say it's a trauma kit and something traumatic happened to them, well, the person that finds them, hopefully an EMT, a knowledgeable person, will be able to, they might not have the kit themselves, they might be out of supplies, but they can see that kit is on you, and then they can utilize that to help you. So it might not be a bad idea to put a real basic kit together for each of the kids and just keep it on them. They're not going to know how to use all this stuff, but hopefully if somebody finds them, or if you get separated from your pack and then your kids are there, then you're going to be able to utilize the equipment that you've already stashed on them, just little lightweight mini kits, medical kits, some food that they can, might not be able to chew beef jerky if they're really little, but some sort of food like that, and a little water filter, and you can use that to help them. Let's see, add a bag of hard candies. It satisfies them when in duress. That's a really great comment. If there's one thing that they really love, like a favorite little teddy bear or some hard candies or something that just quiets them up and makes them happy, definitely keep that. Maybe keep a couple, keep one stashed away somewhere in case they lose the primary one. That's an awesome idea. All right, do we have any more YouTube questions coming up? It looks like we have.
Hey Lance, maybe go ahead and wrap it up.
Okay.
We'll try and get the video up next time, so it's actually people can see you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So we'll shoot for that, but maybe wrap it up for now.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to cut this a little bit shorter than we planned. I was planning on going a little bit longer, but we're still having some unfortunate technical difficulties with the video, so we're going to cut it off right now. And it's been really great speaking with you guys. I love the interaction. I love you guys asking me questions. I can't wait to do this again soon. We'll have the video working, and we're going to answer more of your questions. So in the meantime, keep jotting down those questions. Keep thinking about stuff. And the whole nature of the NFPA, our National Family Preparedness Association, is that we want to be interactive. We don't want you to be out there just lost, having to, endlessly surf around on YouTube and getting distracted or not know where to start. We want to provide an all-inclusive information platform. I mean, there's not just me here. We've got all kinds of experts. Click on the link. You can check it out, everything that we have to offer, and we'd really like to have you guys join up. And we're going to provide you with all sorts of neat stuff, question and answer sessions from myself, question and answer sessions from our other experts in all kinds of varied fields, and not just some guys off the street. I mean, we got some awesome guys here, like nationally renowned, super knowledgeable guys. So anyways, it's been great speaking with you, and we will check in with you guys soon. Take care. Be prepared.